What's going on, guys? Indy here with Ultimate 2 Reviews. Well, today we're taking a look at the Ecoflow River 2 Pro. Thanks to Ecoflow for sending this out to me. And before I jump into, test a bunch of stuff out on the Ecoflow River 2, going into full review here, let's talk about just, battery power stations in general. I'm kind of like I go camping like maybe once a year, I do a lot of, remote work and stuff here and there. So I do like to have these kind of power stations. I actually use like a small battery power station for like, charging my phone up, random times working at some client's location remotely. And, maybe I'm out there for 4 or 5 hours, gotta get my phone charged. But of course, this is a whole different story when you get into these larger power stations. I'm not comparing the Vivor here to Ecoflow at all. I'm just showing you guys that I've got another one here. And it's kind of interesting to look at the price differences and the build quality differences between these two. The Vivor coming in right around $200, where the Ecoflow here will run you around $500-600 depending on when you buy it. This one's right around 900-ish because I also have these solar panels down here as well. Right here is the solar panels, and I absolutely love this cool little case it comes with. But, a lot of people ask, well, why don't I just go with a gas generator? And if there's going to be pros and cons to literally everything, and I got a chance to kind of try this out. I have used gas generators in the past. I'm not really a big fan of gas generators myself. I'm in Florida here, so of course we get hurricanes, and when the power goes out, you got to pretty much get a gas generator. The problem with most gas generators, though, is you need a significant amount of gas to run them. And I would say my average time out of power in Florida when a nice, Category 3, Category 4 comes through is going to be anywhere between 2 to 5 days on average, what I've seen from the last 5 or 6 hurricanes that I've been through. With the quickest time being just under 2 days was the last hurricane I went through, and we had no power for that much time. Now, could I run my house or much stuff off these devices? Sorta. If I've got a gas generator, I'm burning about an average of 1 gallon of gas per hour, just on average, generalizing how much gas it's going to cost to basically run those. I'm say running like my fridge, maybe a couple of AC units or two off that. That could work out just fine there. So let's just say we're running 20 gallons of gas a day on average. So for me to go through my last hurricane, I would need about 40-ish gallons of gas on hand to really be able to use a generator to the full capacity, which is quite a good amount of gas. I mean, if you got 5-gallon gas cans, that's going to be about what, 8 gas cans of gas you're going to need at full 5 gallons. That's quite a bit of stuff to store. I know in the state of Florida, they don't want you having more than, I think, like 3 or 4 gas cans in your garage that are full of gas. There's some limits on that. Certain states are different as well too, depending on where you live in Florida. So of course, having that much gas can be quite an issue. Moving on to something like this, your downside is going to be, of course, price. This is going to run you the same cost as having a regular gas generator. You need to power maybe a fridge, AC unit, something in that realm of how much power you're going to need. However, they're of course a lot smaller. There's no engine here, taking gas or propane, turning that into energy then. Of course, then I can also have these storing energy. This thing is holding right around 87%. The Vivor, I think, is right around 99%, up 100% still here on the Vivor. So of course, these are a little more convenient. I don't have to worry about, storing a massive amount of gas. Now, with the introduction of solar panels, that is a whole game changer there. The problem with solar panels is that I just ran into recently. I've only had this for a couple of weeks now, and for the last week and a half, it's been really windy, really rainy. There's been almost no sun at all. So I was going to do a bit of the video. I was going to charge this on solar panel, but I'm not really getting any charge off the solar panel right now with just how much overcast we've had for the last couple of days. We haven't really had any sunlight at all here in Florida for the last week or so. Especially when you come off a hurricane, there's very little sunlight coming off when you get out of that hurricane. Once that eye passes, you're still going through a number of bands for the next 12 to 36 hours, depending on the size of that hurricane. So no solar there, unfortunately. Also, these solar panels are pretty expensive too. They're going to run you a couple $100 in addition to the unit. This unit was really cool because you can hook up multiple solar panels to charge this even faster. It can charge almost as fast as plugging into the wall. And with the solar panel I've got the 160 watt panel here, and it's Ecoflow claims that this will be able to charge in about 7 to 15 hours, depending, of course, how much sunlight you currently have, which is not bad at all. If you're somewhere totally remote, you're somewhere, driving somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and you want to charge this thing up, maybe leave it for a day and let the thing charge all the way back up, or you're powering something at night, this will do the trick. But I would say pick up a larger solar panel. That's where it gets tricky when I say a larger solar panel, because you already have to carry this unit, which is not terribly large. It's right around 17 pounds. It's not like it's massive in any real direction here. It's about, I would like to think about it as like a square foot of a unit there. It's not like it's massive. The V4, of course, is way smaller, but it's also a lot less powerful. On the other hand, though, these solar panels are decently heavy. I'd say this weighs like 15, 20 pounds, and it's also quite massive here. You can see just how big this thing is. These things do fold down. This is, of course, a 3-fold solar panel in there. Is it 4-fold, I think? But it's massive for what it is already. I mean, this is going to be hard to really find somewhere to put it. You don't want to stack anything on top of it. You don't want to damage this thing in any way. And if you need to, say, have 2 or 3 of these to charge your solar pack even faster, that becomes an issue as well, too. So that's kind of where you're at when it comes to solar versus gas. There's not really a great, full option depending on what you're doing that's just significantly better than going gas or going solar. They're kind of both very pros and cons. From doing my research, is kind of what I found. I was kind of thinking, hey, what can I say about this, that is like, wow, I really cool to go solar, but is it that much better than gas, in my opinion? I think it's definitely getting there, but we're not totally there just yet. So let's take a look at this Ecoflow, check it out. There is an app for it, which is really cool. It's got Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, a lot of really cool things about this thing. You've, of course, got 4 outlets up front, which is nice. You've got a USB-C that's going to be a 100-watt out. It's also a USB-C for charging input, which is kind of cool. So you can maybe charge off some other device. If you're wondering, yes, you can charge either unit off of each other, which is kind of cool. So that is pretty neat. Not that you'd want to do that. You're kind of just wasting the power with a little bit of the heat exchange as you're changing these over from power. It's kind of a waste to charge other units with other units. However, the Ecoflow does offer additional battery banks you can attach to this to give yourself even more power off of the Ecoflow River 2 Pro, which is cool. If you bump to their Delta series, they've got even more options for that, which is pretty cool. But of course, you bump in price, size, and weight at the same time. There, of course, is no way around going. The more power you have, there's no way around going more power, more weight, more price. That's what you're going to get every single time, because of course it's all just lithium-ion battery packs in there. So that's going to be your downside, of course, there. All right, let's do a quick comparison here. I'm going to plug in the Vivor here. Right now we have the M18. This is going to be the Rover light here I got plugged in. It actually comes plugged in with an extension cord, which is awesome. You can do battery or extension cord. I'm going to do a review on this here pretty shortly in the future. But right now it's telling us we have 7 hours and we're currently using up 42 watts of power. Let's see how accurate this is on the Ecoflow. I would think the Ecoflow, being more expensive, it's probably going to be a bit more accurate. But it's cool to kind of see these between different units. It's hard to see, in reviews when you're like, hey, how long is all my gear going to run off one of these units? You can do all the math you want, but it's always fun to see, these plugged in real time and see how they actually work, because there's always some crazy factor that you're not really thinking of, and that can always kind of mess up your calculations there. So, okay, so on the Vivor, we were having about 42 watts. Ecoflow is claiming 43 watts here, and we have about 10 hours left of runtime. This thing is at 87%. I did charge it up to 100% about, when I first got it in, maybe about 2 weeks ago, and it has come down to about 87% by itself, which is interesting to see there. The Vivor I charged up, I would say, a good 6 weeks ago to 100%, and it has pretty much stayed at 100% ever since then. So something to be aware of there. You do have a little bit of, that battery bleed there over time, which is quite slow. Okay, but this is the easy stuff. Let's try to run something a little more power hungry. Let's try a refrigerator next. Can this thing run a refrigerator, and how long is it going to do it for? Well, I'm not really sure how long it's going to do it for, but let's plug it in anyways and see what happens. All right, we just got this thing plugged in now. I just heard the fridge. Electronics kick on, but not, of course, the compressor just yet. We're still showing 0 watts out here, but we're showing 22 hours of remaining time on here, so there is got to be something here pulling out. Let's see if I can make this kick on here. Okay, the light is on the freezer now, so we're pulling about 44 watts out of the Ecoflow now. All right, well, the fridge is kicked on, but we're still showing 0 watts out right now. I can definitely hear it running, but we're showing about 22 hours now, so it's pulling just a little bit of power out of this thing. But funny, when I open the door, we turn on the lights, which they are incandescents, not LEDs. We're now pulling about 51 watts here. So we're pulling a little bit more than 8-9 watts here to run the compressor, which seems really low, but That's how much it's pulling, and that is all it needs to run the fridge. Let's try something even beefier than this. Let's try out a 10,000 BTU window AC unit and see what it does with that. All right, here's a Hisense 10,000 BTU window AC unit. Let's see if this thing likes this or not. I'm gonna turn this right on low. We're on eco mode here. Oop, nope, does not like that at all. We are pulling too much wattage out of here, or too much amperage over there. Yet overload protection just kicked in, and it said absolutely not, no way, it's not gonna run that. All right, look at this solar panel setup here. This is actually pretty easy to set up once you do it the first time, and if you haven't set these up before, they do get a little tricky. All right, and just like that, it is set up. It's kind of a weird thing with the case is like the stand for it, and that's kind of how it holds itself up. There's two little clips that go right up there. Let me take you around the side here and I'll show you what that looks like. All right, so the case is, of course, hard on this side and soft on that side. It kind of just likes to sit on that side there. There's like a little lip on the case that likes to sit on there. And then there's two little clips that are clipped into the top of the panel there, and it's pretty much easy once you do it the first time. It's not too hard to do it the second time. I will say this solar panel material, it's kind of like a little bit of a fiber material here, and it gets a little, it doesn't want to open up by itself. It likes to kind of fold back in, and it's a little tricky to do once you do it the first couple of times. It kind of stretches out and you're good to go after that. Okay, let's get this thing hooked up to the solar panel. Right on the solar panel side here, it's pretty easy to get this thing set up. There's a little cable here on one side. In the box, though, they do include a cable here that is designed to hook up to the solar panel directly. Right here, it allows you to hook up a solar panel in, I believe it's parallel. I just get the series and parallel mixed up. I believe it's parallel. You can hook up more panels than one into this unit here. In the box, though, of course, you got a cigarette lighter option to plug it directly into your car. You've also got the option to plug it directly into the wall, and with USB-C, you can plug it in that way too. So you got 4 options right out of the box to plug this thing in and get it working that way, no problem. So this is relatively easy, but I can definitely see these cables changing around in the future. They're kind of wonky looking, I can't see this becoming the standard, forever here, but pretty much black to black. They're hard to mess up, of course, and they do have these little clips on it that keep the cable, from falling out very easily there. So once that's in, I can then take this, and on the back here, we've got standard IEC in, and then we've got our solar in right here, and there we go. I don't expect to get any solar charging happening right now because it's pretty dark out, pretty cloudy out, so don't expect much right now. As you can see here, we've got input and output watts. Might be a little hard to see here with a little bit of reflection there, but we're getting 0 input watts now, which is not unexpected here. It's pretty overcast right now, so not really too crazy there. All right, guys, so of course solar panels are pretty easy to pack up and get back in the bag. This thing took me about 20 seconds to pack back up. Really not a big deal. Of course, this thing has about 760 watt hours of battery capacity, where this thing is just under 300. Of course, like I said before, guys, as you go up from battery capacity, you go up from power capacity, you jump up in size, weight, and price with anything that has batteries in it, of course. Now, the Ecoflow, I think, is definitely a fantastic choice. I love the app with it. It's amazing. I can monitor the thing from, as long as I'm within Bluetooth range when I have Wi-Fi. I can monitor this thing when I'm out and about if it's on Wi-Fi at my house, which is pretty cool. But of course, though, we're still, in the earlier stages here of looking at these, battery backup, battery generators here. I think there's still a lot more to come. Ecoflow, things like Jackery, they're definitely on, the bleeding edge there of the newest and greatest stuff coming out from a lot of these generators. As we can see, guys, I can run my fridge off this no problem. My 10,000 BTU AC unit, not so much. But again, though, I am definitely maxing out the unit itself. I'm a little bit over 1,100 starting watts there, and this thing is only good for about 1,050 starting watts altogether. So, of course, I'm not, staying in line with how good it works. Probably could I do a smaller AC unit on this thing? Yeah, but beware, though, that my runtime on this would probably only be maybe in 1 to 3 hours, depending on how much power it's pulling. So definitely keep your expectations in check when you're looking at these units. Don't expect to maybe run like a small AC unit, a bunch of gear in your, overland rig and still be good to go for a couple of days. A lot of stuff that's pulling a lot of power is not going to give you much more than maybe a few hours of runtime. But that's runtime without any fumes, any starting issues, without oil. That is all great to have with these units. But again, though, to recharge, if you're off the grid, you're staying somewhere, remote, you're going to spend maybe half a day, if not longer, charging with a solar panel. So I'm just trying to state all the facts of these units, guys, from the research that I've done, from the stuff that I've messed around with these things. Nothing is actually going to be perfect when it comes to a lot of these units. You go to the larger units, of course, you've got more weight to deal with, and you've got much more size to deal with as well, too. But I think we're definitely heading in the right direction with Ecoflow. The River 2 Pro is pretty impressive for what it is. You want to run a couple of phones, a couple of laptops, maybe one of those little coolers that you have in the back of your car. There's those really cool coolers. Makita's got one, but it's like $1,000. It's kind of expensive there. I'm going to try to pick up another different one on Amazon. But you can run all that stuff for at least a day, which is pretty cool. You can even maybe throw the solar panels up on your roof and then kind of, maybe discreetly hide the cables coming out of your window somewhere and keep that charging, because yes, the Ecoflow 2, pretty much all Ecoflow's units support charging and discharging at the same exact time. So you could run something like maybe like a small little mini fridge in your car while also having this thing solar charge back up as well. So that is really cool to see. So for, small, overlanding stuff that you want to do, maybe small, like light to medium, I would say, camping demands, this thing will do pretty well. If you want to run lights at night, maybe run a radio, this is of course your perfect option. But then again, remember what it costs to buy one of these things, right around $1,000. That's going to be quite the investment for running much simpler items like that. When you think to run maybe more, important things like a mini fridge, maybe a window AC unit, maybe a dehumidifier, of course, going to pull more power. But I will say Ecoflow is having a fantastic sale right now. I also have a code in the description for 5% off. If you want to check that out, I think it's 5% off to double check that. But I'll post all the specs of this unit as well in the top comment there, and you guys can check this out if you want to. They're doing a big sale right now from Ecoflow. I think it goes on until the end of November right now, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I'm kind of loving this stuff with all the solar panel stuff right now. All the battery generator stuff is really, really cool to check out. But just remember to keep your expectations in check with this stuff. Don't expect to spend $600 and be able to run your entire house off of it. It's not a gas generator, which gas generators also have their do major downsides with them as well too. Just having to require a ton of gas maintenance. There's no maintenance on these things, and you basically just charge them back up and you're good to go. So that is the cool thing about these battery generators. They are pretty cool to check out. But again, you're not going to be able to run everything you think you could run off these. You just got to make sure you keep everything, put together math-wise and understand what you're pulling for power, what things are going to pull on that initial, startup as well too. So guys, thanks for watching. Take care. Have a great day and stay safe out there.